Charlotte, every situation you put me in is just a win. Charlotte Linlin, aka Big Mom, is a character that I don't really speak too much on, and that's due to me usually using her to scale other characters, if that makes sense. Like, for example, if I want to scale Marco, I'll use his encounter against Big Mom as a feat, or how Big Mom and Whole Cake got finagled by Jinbei, or how Brook tagged her, or how Chopper stopped her for a few seconds. But today, I wanted to, I guess, put respect on her name, as a lot of people are convinced that the other Yonkos would, like, one-shot her. And this mainly came from my Mihawk vs. Shanks video, because people think, oh, Big Mom and Kid are relative, and Shanks one-shotting Kid, so does that mean Shanks can one-shot Big Mom? And I want to not only address that argument, but I guess just Big Mom scaling in general, as I haven't really done that. And in my opinion, she's way stronger than people give her credit for. Firstly, Big Mom already being a Yonko by the time we enter the series should already say that she's at the bare minimum a top tier. And the reason arcs like Whole Cake and Wano don't contradict that is because we see during Whole Cake, Big Mom is starving throughout the whole arc, and despite that, she takes no damage from any member of the Straw Hats. And at best, she gets sent flying by Jinbei's water, but it does absolutely nothing to her. Then she gets one of her weapons taken by Nami, and then in the next arc proceeds to suffer from amnesia. And even when she's suffering from amnesia and we move to Wano and isn't even using any types of hockey, Big Mom slams Queen into unconsciousness. And after this would go on to use Prometheus to combat Marco, but after Prometheus gets overpowered, Big Mom just takes matters into her own hands and overpowers Marco herself. And her being able to clash and choke Marco is a pretty impressive speed feat, as Marco has had some type of combat slash reaction speed feat against Aokiji, Kizaru, and Akainu. So this would at least give her speed scaling to put her above the Admirals. And the only reason she couldn't put down Marco is because of his ridiculous regeneration, and she didn't want to spare her soul powers. This is further backed up by the fact that her and Kaido scrapped for over 24 hours and is constantly put on the same level as him, or at the very least isn't that far behind him. It's also stated that Big Mom and Kaido on Rooftop are bigger threats than the three Admirals at Marineford, meaning at the very least Big Mom, who's the weakest of the duo, should be above the weakest of the trio, which would probably be Kizaru. However, I think that matchup is a little interesting because Kizaru is like all about speed, which would probably be a very bad matchup for Big Mom specifically. However, I do believe Big Mom should at least contend with the Admirals, if not beat them, as she gets even more powerful after the statement is made, absorbing a year worth of her own lifespan and fighting an awakened Kid and Law. It's actually said she never took as much damage as she did fighting Law and Kid, which is insane considering she's literally fought Kaido before. Although Kaido gets way more amps during Wano and even ends up considering Big Mom to be pathetic for losing, it shouldn't take away from how strong Big Mom actually is, as she'd probably surpass base Kaido by this point in time. This same Kaido, mind you, would scale above the one that managed to clash with Odin, but it wouldn't be enough to kill her due to her durability along with her lifespan amp just being too much for Odin, and she can also regenerate herself. Odin's greatest feat is him scarring Dragon Kaido and Kaido getting back up anyway. And the next best feat that Odin has is clashing with a weaker Kaido than the one that Big Mom had a deathmatch with for over 24 hours. And then she proceeds to be stronger than that same Big Mom on Rooftop, and then that Big Mom gets stronger during her fight with Law and Kid. And for those who want to bring up the top 5 statement, I think it's just in regards to how effective they were against Kaido, if that makes sense. That sounds stupid, but allow me to elaborate. For example, Big Mom and Kaido don't really do any significant damage on one another since it's going back and forth. Meanwhile, Kaido was legit going to die if not for outside interference in his fight with Odin. So in the context of the fights themselves, Odin performed better, but Big Mom scales to a stronger Kaido and overall has a lot more going for her, so her feats would contradict Odin's statement. And what I don't understand is she also gets knocked off of Rooftop, trolls on ulti in page 1, forces Law and Kid to awaken their fruits, and despite her losing, as soon as they defeat Big Mom, fall into unconsciousness just because of how difficult it was to secure the W. So I don't really get why people are saying that Kid scales to Big Mom, and Shanks one-shotting Kid would mean that he can one-shot Big Mom. Like, that is so disingenuous, what? Throughout that whole fight with Kid and Law, Big Mom was getting caught lacking by Law's crazy devil fruit, which then gave Kid the opportunity to just pummel her with his best attacks. And despite both of them combining their best attacks, Big Mom didn't get obliterated, they both fucking died. Kid and Law respectively had a moment where Big Mom was going to kill them and they were forced to dodge her attack. And even when they did wombo combo her multiple times into submission, Big Mom didn't get negged. Like, be serious, bruh. As for abilities, I'm not gonna lie, Big Mom is probably the most versatile Yonko aside from Gear 5 Luffy due to her Soul Fruit. She's able to manipulate souls including her own, can take away people's lifespans, can regenerate from broken bones, has shown the ability to use Advanced Conquerors, which is an ability exclusively to the Goats of the Verse, and I'm sure she would have the other types of advanced hockey like Armament and Observation. She also has her sword that she's apparently a master with in terms of skill, can shoot out projectiles, can utilize lightning and fire respectively with Zeus and Prometheus. She can also give non-living things souls to control and do her bidding, and even just her Fever card is enough to control them, so she doesn't even have to be in the area specifically to manipulate those souls. And now for the conclusion. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, Big Mom shouldn't be that far off from the likes of Shanks and Kaido. Like, they aren't going to be one-shotting her. Let's calm down. Similar to other Yonkos, she at least has scaling above the Admirals and Yonko Commanders, and although she's probably the weakest Yonko currently, well, not currently, but when she was one, it doesn't take away from her being a monster, and I can see her slamming any Admiral that isn't named Akainu or Aokiji, maybe. So, is Big Mom a fraud? No. Is she a big dum-dum who drops her guard around weaker characters, which is why people believe she has so many anti-feats? No comment.